Hello, everybody. My name is Justin, and I want to talk just for a little bit about restorative justice. We've talked about it in class a little bit, and I want to just kind of talk about some of the things that I've learned in my research. So generally what happens in my building, and I'm one of the detention teachers, so I have students generally every day after school. So a student will go and have a discussion. If they've broken a rule, they'll go and talk with the assistant principal. He will decide whether they get suspension or detention. Now, we don't have a lot of suspensions in our school, mainly because we don't want kids missing that class time. So we have detentions. But students will come into detention, like my friend Jack here, over and over and over again. And I have discussions to try to build a rapport with Jack. Jack, what keeps happening in class? Ooh. Jack, I mean, why do you keep coming to me in detention? And Jack he says nothing. He doesn't know. He won't open up to me. And so in detention, they usually have an option of copying cardinal codes, doing homework, or copying from the dictionary. Now, what I see in that, it just gives Jack time to stew about what he's already angry about, but it's not getting to the root cause of the issue. And I believe that that's where restorative justice kind of steps in, okay? Because what we see happening, and what I see happening, is that if I have students like Peter and John in classroom who are fighting each other and who are butting heads all of the time, if I come to them and I say, okay, I want you to tell me what's happening. You see the way Peter's head is shaking? That's what my students tell me. Because there is some type of reference to the power dynamic between a teacher and a student, or a student and the building leaders, where a wall immediately goes up between what I'm trying to accomplish, and the student can't see that. The student only sees the big bad authority figure. But the wonderful thing about restorative justice, as I have learned so far, is that there are so many different ways to set it up, but essentially, it puts students in front of students. Now, the beauty of that, we may not be able to see it, just right off the bat, but the beauty of it is Peter is more likely to open up with John than he is to open up with me about whatever's going on with him. And so what it requires is for the teachers and the building leaders and the staff in the building to be willing to give up some of that authoritarian power and say, okay, we want to work together to allow the students some power and us some power to create a collaborative culture. Now, 4 things I've learned so far about this that I've seen in every article that I've read, every journal that I've looked at so far, is that it all centers around this big C word, and that word is community. Say it together, class. Community. Absolutely. Community is key. So number 1, you have to create that community, okay? It's not just your classroom. Your entire school has to become a community where everybody feels valued, everybody is esteemed, where everybody's story, their narrative has some type of merit. Number 2, you have to set the expectation that being a part of the community is not optional. It is required. So Jack, you have to be a part of the community. So do you, John, and so do you, Peter. You have to bring your things to class. You have to participate. And what I've seen in many classrooms is that they have these respect agreements. And in these agreements, they come together, they collaborate to form all of these things. It's not the teacher saying these are the classroom rules. They come up with the rules and consequences of the infractions. And everyone is held to them, including the teacher, which might make some teachers nervous. But I think that empowerment is key to creating a community. Number 3, we have to model and teach that community daily. What vernacular are we using? What signs are we using? What signs are we sending with our attitudes? Everything has to point back up toward whatever type of community we have chosen to create. And then 4, we have to hold students accountable. Okay, no child gets left behind. We drag them with us. Now, the hope is that through creating community, we create such a positive structure that students want to be involved. And when they have an infraction, they can sit down with one another, and maybe a teacher or a building leader is involved, and they can talk it out. What happened? When they have the chance to talk it out and give their narrative, they see how what has happened has harmed their class, the other person, but ultimately themselves. Peter will find out how what he did has hurt him. So we keep students in class, we keep them learning, and as teachers, we get to continue building that important rapport with them. So that's my little 5-minute spiel about restorative justice. I'm excited about everything that I'm reading about it. So I hope you all have enjoyed my version of a TED Talk. And I've always wanted to do a TED Talk. Anyway, see you later.